welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew with low-tech headset.
Yeah, you've got a low-tech headset, and I've got a heater on because it's below freezing here in Ohio. But we are here to talk about the first full season of Creature Commandos. The season finale dropped. We are recording this at noon on Thursday after it dropped. We watched it this morning. I'm going to be honest with you. I binged back through the whole season.
Oh, nice.
Because the episodes were short enough, I was able to do that. And so I've re-ingested the whole season also. It was an hour and a half. So
yeah.
And so we're here to talk about this whole season. Before we get into that, as always, guys, make sure if you're not already subscribed, please do so. Because that's how you know when we put stuff up. We dropped some, we covered some Batman news yesterday on the channel, and also always follow us on social media so we know we're putting stuff up. But yeah, Creature Commandos finale dropped, and we're going to talk about it on the podcast. But this is the podcast, so we have to start this off by always asking, Matt, how you doing?
No, how are you doing?
I've been better.
Besides it freezing,
I've been better. And besides it freezing, before me finally kicking COVID, but now having another medical issue I'm dealing with, so I'm still stuck at home. And it's just like, man, I haven't celebrated my birthday yet.
Bro.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm at a point where it's like, I've been better, but thankfully I've been watching. You know what I've been doing is I've realized, I told you yesterday, I never watched season 4 of Harley Quinn. I was gonna wait to binge it, so I'm like halfway through. I'm almost done binging season 4 of Harley Quinn. It's so good. Spoilers: the entire first episode is dedicated to Nightwing's ass, and that it's just a spectacle. Like that it's a work of art to behold. Like that's the plot of the episode. Is focused around the fact that Nightwing has such a perfect ass, and it might be one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Okay, I like it. Maybe I should go check that out.
Maybe just watch the first episode. Just watch the first episode of season 4, and I think you'll be good. How about you, man? How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Did a lot of the kids. My daughter was home for the holidays from college. Now she's back, or she's leaving. We got another. My oldest has graduated for cosmetology school, so now we're going to go to her party, which will be interesting because she planned it as an outside party, and then a week and a half out, the temperature dropped to 30. So now we had to buy some outdoor heater. So we're hoping that this works. And my wife was like, do you think it'll work? I'm like, as long as there's no wind.
Those outdoor heaters have come a long way, though. I will say they have gotten a lot better over the years. They're no longer like, quick, everybody stand around the fire hazard. It's
yeah. So it'll be interesting, but it's going to be cool. So it's things are going up and up. It's been a nice holiday season, but I'm glad we're on the backside of it.
Yeah, we're finally to the point where it's like, okay, now we need to get back to normal. Okay, what does normal look like again? What does normal look like? Well, normal for us looks like talking about Creature Commandos, apparently. Who'd have thunk it, man? Who'd have thought we'd be getting to the end of season 1 of Creature Commandos, the first project in James Gunn's DC universe? Matt, how did the finale leave you feeling?
I thought it was fine.
Okay.
It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was fine. There's a couple things that this is that whole thing of like, there's a couple things I was hoping was going to happen that did not. Like, we are still left with, why the hell does Frank Grillo look the way he does in Superman?
I think we kind of addressed that a little bit when we talked about, we briefly addressed Batman showing up in the episode when we did our news breakdown last week. And I think with this show, they're going for more, just make them look like the comic book characters, and we'll figure out the rest in the movies.
Yeah.
I think they're letting the animated stuff be more style over substance.
Yeah. And that's probably what it is. It's just one of those times where I was like, but at the same time, like, who knows? But I mean,
well, I mean, they did enough with that, in that they established in like the first episode that he had a kid young.
Yeah.
So
but no, I think I think it was fine. Like I said it to you before we started recording. Like, this is the rare time where I'm gonna say I think they needed one more episode. I think it just it got to a certain point where it was like, okay, I'm done, and everything's done. They just wrapped up everything super quick, and it was like, okay, like,
Yeah.
sure. So
I'm in a similar bout, and this is one of those rare instances where we agree. I thought the finale was fine. I thought it was. I thought, and in a similar situation as you, I think this is why I went back and rewatched the whole thing this morning, because I got up early, watched it, and I was like, I got time. You know, we went into this, and I think this is very much, like you said, a situation of, did this just not meet my expectations? Did it just not live up to what I thought it was going to be?
yeah.
And I think ultimately that I think we like because we weren't sure, because we get excited about things. We were like, what is this? This has to be something. It's like, well, no, it doesn't have to be anything.
No.
It can be whatever they freaking want it to be.
Yeah.
So upon like doing like my immediate re-binge of it, in an hour and a half today, I will say, watching it again in a binge, knowing what I know now, it does sit better with me. But I am also glad that we knew already we were getting a season 2. You know what I mean? And this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I think this kind of confirms 2 things, which is, one, I think we might be getting season 2 a little bit sooner than we thought.
Yeah.
And B, I think season 2 was already greenlit. They just didn't announce it until after it. I think they went into it with a couple seasons, kind of like with My Adventures with Superman or like Batman Cape Crusader. I think they went into it ready with a couple seasons, and they were just like, we'll announce it after this drops like a fucking bomb on everybody and takes and does the numbers that it's done.
Yeah.
Because like by all accounts, like this isn't just like us as DZ fans getting excited. Like the numbers do not lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like so the show is a huge hit. And if this is the one time in this whole season where like my biggest criticism is like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my biggest criticism is like, that's it. Where's more? I want more. I didn't get enough. So that's wrong.
And no, I think you built up a lot of story, and then just tied a bow. And I think like, especially like here what this reminds me of is the Power Man show, where you took all this time to give me Cottonmouth's background, and then you killed him at the end of that episode. Like, why did you bother with that? So, I mean, are we doing spoilers?
Oh, yeah. By the time this comes out, we're 24 hours.
Okay.
Dude, you said it yourself. The Batman cameo was spoiled within 15 minutes of you getting out of bed that morning. Like, at this point, all bets are. If you're watching this, we're assuming you've watched it.
Yeah. So the fact that they told Nina's story and then killed her at the end, it was like, why did you tell me that story?
I don't think
I'm on the fence. Like, it's, who knows? Reptiles can regenerate. I have no idea.
And that's the thing, is we don't know a lot about her. That I think that's why I don't think she's dead.
Yeah.
That or it was just a miss. I mean, it could very well be that it was just a miss, that it was just an oversight. But I do think they teased us in the first episode with, wait till you get her in the water.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got her in the water and nothing happened. But I also know that there is more to Pecola than we've gotten, I feel like. Obviously, we haven't gotten the whole story there yet either. So I think this is very much a situation of kind of like how people were feeling with Squid Game season 2, which I know you haven't watched, but it's season 2. It's leading up to season 3. It ends with a big cliffhanger.
Yeah.
This, I don't. I am having such mixed feelings. It's not that I mixed feelings. I have mixed trains of thought. I'm going with this. I don't know why I'm scissoring with my fingers, but we are. No, I heard it. I heard it as I said it, and I'm just going to let that hang there. So my train of thought is, this was never meant to really be about the creature commandos. This was supposed to be about the world building.
I kind of see that.
That's train of thought number 1. train of thought number one is how much of this was really meant to be about us getting invested in these characters, and how much of this was meant to be this show, using the show as a vessel to get us invested in the DCU.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, I mean, James Gunn has said from day one, this is just the thing to whet your palate. Maybe season 2 is where, if it's ending with a cliffhanger like that, then it leads me to believe then obviously we're not done with this story.
No,
So I don't think that the story is done, is more my point. Is either this was never about the story from the Commandos perspective,
yeah,
or the story's not done yet. That's where I'm not sure how to feel, because I don't know what they're going for.
Well, and see, this is the thing for me, like kind of branching off a little bit of that, is like starting out your, like we've talked about this before, like how many people are really going to watch this cartoon?
Yeah,
you know, your deep
just
fans
a wild choice.
But like you've also established out the gate that there's going to be part of the DCU that is all the rated R.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, even though it's animated, so it's not like it's quote unquote terrible. But I mean, look, we had sex, we had extreme violence, language.
You're not making this as a movie and putting it in theaters because the return on investment would have to be Deadpool level. You know what I mean? Like, this would need to be Deadpool quality to get a return on investment in movie theaters.
Yeah. So this makes me wonder, like, okay, Superman, obviously you're not going to go hard R for Superman, but all bets are off, in my opinion, for everything after that. Well, do we get an R-rated Batman? Do we get an R-rated Clayface? Like
Clayface, I think definitely.
Yeah.
I think you've about hit the nail on the head. I think with our villain stories.
Yeah.
Because that's where we get the room. It's like, hey, we need our villains to be able to be villains. One of the things that, and I don't mean to keep jumping back to Marvel, one of the things that hindered kind of the, like some of these Sony Spider-Man villain movies is you keep making them all PG-13. You know, like Venom. The first Venom movie should have been rated R. You know, we bites a dude's head off, should be blood everywhere. And I know they tried to fix that later on. I saw Kraven in theaters. It wasn't enough. But but it helped. I will say, I think that helped with Kraven that they, you know, Morbius didn't. Morbius very much was made to be rated R. They chickened out, edited it down to PG-13, and it showed. Kraven, they just let it be R. And I think because at least the quality of those action scenes, because they just let them be what they needed to be, helped that movie be not a complete dumpster fire.
Yeah.
A smoldering dumpster fire, but not a complete dumpster fire. Like, so I think with your villain properties, Creature Commandos, Clayface, so on and so forth, those you can let yourself be a little bit more rated R, edgy, like a Joker movie, like a Penguin show, because you can get away with it. Nobody wants to see Batman dropping F-bombs and snapping necks necessarily. Although I did, that post-credit scene in Justice League was pretty good. Telling him, Batfleck telling Jared Leto's Joker, I swear to God, I will fucking kill you, is like up there. But all of this to say, I think you're right in that James Gunn is allowing himself pockets of his DCU where they can play.
Well, because ultimately this leads to the property that has been the biggest curiosity for me, and that's the Authority. Because if you read the Authority or you know anything about the Authority, it is super, super violent.
Yeah.
So, like, are you testing the waters with it animated to potentially do that live action? Or are you going to do it animated? So that's, I know it's stupid because we're talking about Creature Commandos, but that's the property that where I'm like, where are we going with that?
I mean, the Creature Commandos, we've been saying this since Jump. This show exists to build the sandbox the DCU is going to play in for however long it exists, God willing. Yeah. So talking about the greater DCU and a Creature Commandos conversation, especially when we're talking about the season, the season finale and the full season and what it means going forward, I think it's very on topic, because I think this show did a lot to set up for that. And in speaking of the Authority, we know that the Engineer is a player in Superman. And I think that leads me to like, well, we end this season with Rick Flag basically in a coma, still crippled from the Clayface fight in the hospital bed. When we see him in those said photos that got leaked from Superman, Rick Flag is looking pretty youthful and healthy, standing next to who? The engineer.
Yeah.
And if the engineer, from what we've read, is this like nanite using person that, you know, seems to be working for Lex, working with Lex to some extent. In those shots, we see that she and Rick Flag are the ones handcuffing Superman. So, or she and Rick Flag are. So it seems to me that maybe it's engineers. And I think we've brought this up. I think maybe engineers nanotech might be what gets Flag healthier and out of the hospital to where he looks like he did. Maybe that gets addressed in Superman.
Yeah.
But all of that stems back to the reason is because all of this stems back to the seeds that Creature Commandos have laid going forward.
Yeah.
So
I as far as the show itself, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Finished the whole thing again this morning. Enjoyed it.
You know, if you told me that Dr. Phosphorus and Eric Frankenstein were going to be my favorites at the end, I'd been like, what are you talking about? Dude,
when he's in the cab talking to the cabbie about when he meets the bride.
You cut to the cabbie and the cabbie's just crying.
Right. We're almost there.
And the thing is, I'm sitting here watching through the credits going, okay, show me the blonde waking back up from the gunshot. Show me the blonde. And I've never been more happy to be wrong when you see Eric Frankenstein eating the bird poop soup with the old lady and he's recovered.
Yeah.
And still not getting it. I mean, you really think about it. She'd only shoot me if she truly loved me and we belong together. And you're just like,
exactly. This guy. Yeah. And Dr. Phosphorus, I mean, again, like the way he continued in this episode, like where he calms Nina, you got this, kid. And she goes in the water. Did it sound like I gave a shit? But also like we got to see some real growth, a real character arc with Bride this season, to where now she's leading her own team. And we've got King Shark back, which ain't mad about in the slightest. And was that the bat thing from the beginning of the show that I recognized in there?
Maybe I gotta watch it again.
And we got Giant GI Robot back.
Yes, GI Robot coming back was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I didn't check. Is it Stallone coming back to voice him?
I didn't see that. Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not. But that goes to that thing James Gunn said recently, where it's like, hey guys, if it's a tiny supporting role, chill.
Yeah, if it has one line, relax.
I'm not paying Stallone money for a line of him to go shark. Like
yeah,
I already did that once for a movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna look it up right now.
But no, I really thought, as far as the writing is concerned, I think the writing is outstanding on the show. You know, we did take every episode to really get to know each character.
It was Diedrich Bader.
It was Dietrich Bader. I'm even more in love now.
As King Shark. I love it.
I am even more in love. I love me some Dietrich Bader.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny. Oh my God. Well, one thing I want to talk about, building out of the DCU with Creature Commandos, I want to get into, they established some serious lore with this show.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did. Rupert Thorne dead now. But we had cameo appearances through flashbacks and visions and all that. But Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, Peacemaker, Vigilante, Booster Gold, Starfire, Mr. Terrific, Supergirl, Robin, Flash, Kid Flash, and Judo Master. We also got to see people from Easy Company. in the flashbacks with GI Robot, which was awesome. And then all the people that we saw in Bell Rev, we had Animal Vegetable Mineral Man, Crimson Centipede, Shaggy Man, Fisherman, Nosferatu, Callus, Egg Food, Bug-Eyed Bandit, Chemo, and Rubber Duck, and Gorilla Grodd was in some of those visions as well. These were all things that were featured in the visions in the prison. I am looking at a list online. I did not find all of these on my own. I'm not that good. And of course, Steve Agee as the wonderful Economos. Love him walking up to the door. I'm so fucking out of shape.
No, I really was, because I was on the fence about this. Like, James Gunn, for the most part, he's batting more than he's not.
He's batting Hall of Fame numbers. You know what I mean? Like, he's batting he's batting more than 500. He's
done well, and I think that I wasn't sure where I'd come, and especially after those first 2 episodes, it was like, okay, why is this R? And then, like, once the second episode comes out, I'm like, okay, this is where we're good, and I really did. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to another season. The idea of the bride being the leader is cool as all get out. I mean, there's one thing that definitely kind of hit me, and I think I texted it to you, is like, Alan, if it's IMDb is right and Alan Tudyk is in Superman,
who's he playing?
He's got to be Phosphorus. I'm thinking he's Phosphorus.
I think he's Clayface.
You think?
I think he's Clayface.
All right, everybody, over and under.
Yeah, I know. Like, let's do, like, drop it in the comments. We'll put a poll up on social media if we have to. Like, who do you think Alan Tudyk is playing in Superman? Is it Dr. Phosphorus? Is it Clayface? Or is it somebody else? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah,
it's Alan Tudyk. He could be Ultraman for all we know. I mean, if you haven't seen him show up on the game show, I'm actually do it. It's hysterical. But it's oh geez, I just realized Stephanie Beatrice was the professor that Clayface was pretending to be. That's funny. Well, but Clayface, I mean, I've seen some people talking online about whether or not they think Clayface is dead. If the movie coming out is going to be a prequel, has no one read a DC comic? Clayface is dead. They're like, oh, but his body's there. It's all melted up. He has got like 30 sentient spares stored away in a closet somewhere. Come on,
the movie will tell you what happened. I'm sure.
I promise you, Clayface ain't dead. I promise you, Clayface ain't dead. For all we know, they scooped up his remains, stuffed him in Bell Rev, and whenever they arrest Superman in the movie, we see him in a 3-second cameo. Who cares,
what
guys?
Was that episode of Batman where he's testing the little piece? He's like, look, the electricity doesn't harm it at all. We don't have him. And then they go to the jail and she touches it and it crumples.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's gone.
Guys, it's like, he's not dead. People are dumb. Yeah. Anyway, I really enjoyed the show. If you had told, again, like, even with all the trailers and stuff, I was just like, yeah, the show looks good, but like, man, I really don't. I still, like, I was optimistic going into it, but I was always like, but we'll see. I don't know anything about this. I don't know what to expect. And this is a wild one to start off with. And having seen it through twice now, I think excuse me, it's like burping the microphone. I honestly I kind of applaud them for using it. I was like, this was a wild swing of like how are we gonna establish the world we're in? Let's take a bunch of like Z-list rogues characters, make take the all monster version of the Suicide Squad and just have them bumble around a fake European country for 7 20-minute episodes. And it's amazing what you can do with a couple of lines of dialogue and a few flashbacks, man. Holy shit, I'm really impressed.
Again, it's so good and such a weird route to go that, again, it's like there's no telling what the next thing's going to be. Like, number one, we're getting a second season, but like, what is the other random thing? Because, he said before he had only announced 50% of the projects. So like, dude, not to drive me weird, but like, do we get Milestone? Do we get other Wildstorm characters that we never thought we'd get? And do we get them animated in hard R? Like, between Peacemaker, which is hard R, but very, very good, and this, which is pretty hard R and very, very good. Like, yeah, you just all bets are off on any, like, dude, a hard R question series about him being against conspiracies and going all of that stuff and just getting real deep into the woods of what he's finding out and what all this means. Like, that's fascinating to do something like that with that particular character. And I'm not saying that's what they have to do. I'm just saying, like, now you're the wide berth of what you can do. I can have a PG-13 beautiful Superman movie. I can have a hard R question, either live action or animated. I can have a G-rated, whatever. Like, you can go everywhere now, and and I have confidence now that where we're going is going to be solid. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's the thing, because that's the big problem when you get into. I don't want to keep bringing it up, but like something like The Authority, where part of the appeal of that is like it's pre The Boys. You don't get The Boys as far as the comic books concerned without Authority coming in and breaking that mold.
Yeah, the Authority like introduced the idea, and then The Boys took it and just ran with it.
Yeah.
Which,
so that's where I think some of this I'm very intrigued. Like, even though he's in Peacemaker, if you get another vigilante like character, like, look, Green Arrow is nice and fun, but if you go back and read the Mike Grell Longbow Green Arrow, it's dark. It's violent.
Even your Golden. I mean, remember what Denny O'Neil did with Green Arrow when he introduced, like, Speedy having a drug addiction and stuff like that. I mean, like, even back when it was like bright and colorful, they still found their ways to do it. So, it's interesting you bring up The Boys and The Authority as we're wrapping up here, and you're talking about the grander DCU at large as from what Creature Commandos set up, and it gets me thinking. We've had such a great time. They're filming season 5 of The Boys right now, and we've had such a great time living in this this weird what if world of, like, what if superheroes were real in the real world. Yeah, it wouldn't be a great world because they'd be human. They'd be people, and people are the worst. Do not give them superpowers. And I think since The Authority is such a, from what you've described, such a that, but not quite as extreme, I think it's then interesting that now we're getting our next thing that we're getting is his take on Superman, which almost seems to be like addressing that same topic, but almost from the idea of, like, whereas you have a world where Homelander walks around going out of his way to make sure everyone knows how powerful he is, we're going to get a Superman who's going out of his way to make sure everyone knows how much of a threat he's not.
Yes.
Superman, the people in the DCU almost seem to be like living in a world where they're afraid of metas, and Superman wants them to not be. And the Creature Commandos seem like they're almost setting up, and also like with what happened in the brothel, where they're like, we accept metas, but you can't use your powers while you're in here. And then they got shit kicked out of them. So it's like we're almost like setting up a world where people seem to be just getting kind of tired of metas, and Superman's trying to give them a reason to not hate us anymore. Almost.
Have you seen that meme where it's like, it's the scene where the guy throws the can?
Yeah.
And it's like, if it was me, this is where the Injustice storyline would start.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 1,000%. It's like, okay, cool. And this is where I take over the world. Yeah. I also loved a new Rockstar's video was like, wow, you have to imagine, like, when you see Clark or Superman take that can to the head and he flinches, he's not flinching. That's him adjusting so that the can doesn't bounce off his head and take someone else's head off, a la the George Reeves incident that happened back in 19 whatever. Google it, kids. I don't know. Go watch the movie Hollywoodland. Honestly, it's a good movie. Yes. And they do that scene.
And you know why Superman and Batman have to fight because of that movie. Sorry, that was an old meme joke, but it made me laugh.
I have to fight him now. So I think as far as like a show, like a self-contained season of television, I think Creature Commando season 1 was good. was good, not great, if only because
it's a great. I'm sorry. It's a
That-
great introduction to all of these characters. It's not a complete story.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, that's what I think. It's what I'm going for. I need to see this full story, but as an introduction to these characters and an introduction to this world, well done. Nailed
We
it.
couldn't have rehearsed that.
Couldn't have rehearsed that. Love it. That's why you subscribe, guys. We occasionally chef kiss almost in sync. But I will say, like, the criticisms I hear about the show, I do hear. I mean, they're not with it like, and it's the things we've brought up too. Yeah, the short runtime leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of like, wow, we're clipping this story a little bit. But again, I think that was kind of the point. I think if you look at this from the guise of that's the point of the show, is just to be breadcrumbs, nailed it. Yeah,
definitely.
So let us know what you guys think down in the comments. We would always want to know what you think. Subscribe when you're on your way down there to click that comment. Follow us on the social medias at WATB Pod. You can find me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me across the board at the Hustle Man.
We will see you guys again back here next time. Same bat podcast channel.
Bye-bye.